And I want to welcome all of you today to our session on this presentation coming from Michigan. I'd like to introduce Patrick Schultz and Dennis Klaus, and they will be conducting the session today. As I said, we are recording, so it will be available later on our Be My YouTube channel. Gentlemen, thank you so much for presenting today, and we'll turn it over to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for allowing us to come in and give a presentation for you on some of the initiatives and opportunities involving cybersecurity and computer science that we've started here in Michigan, as well as rolled out through a number of areas. So to start, I'd like to just give you a little bit more about my background. My name is Patrick Schultz. I am currently one of the MOS co-founders. Again, MOS is the Michigan Initiative for Cybersecurity Education, but I do see some familiar names definitely in the attendees list that are participating with us today, because one of the hats that I have as my main role in career is that I am the current Director of Technology Integration, very similar to a CIO role with Business Professionals of America at the national level. Where I oversee all technology initiatives, growth of education, and really the IT infrastructure and movement that are coming. From today's perspective, as we take a look at deep diving into some of the outcomes and the overview of the MOS program, we'll be sharing best practices that we've learned. Dennis and I are both certification authors. We've worked with Certiport, we've worked with EC Council. I currently am also the co-chair of the NICE working group at the federal level, which is the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education, overseeing the K-12 development subgroup. So in my main background, I should say my education is in computer science and software engineering. I was a CTE instructor for 15 years in Bay City, Michigan, at the Bay Aranac ISD Career Center, where I oversaw the development of youth and anyone looking at an IT or a media pathway, and had the opportunity as well to be a local BPA advisor there as well. So I'm going to kick it over to Dennis here so he can do his intro, and then I'll jump into the presentation.
All right, thanks, Patrick. Hey, I'm Dennis Klass, and I'm also a co-founder with MOS, and I'm also a teacher still in the classroom. I've been in the classroom for 17 years. I've taught a plethora of technology courses, from networking to cybersecurity to computer forensics, mobile forensics, digital forensics, work-based learning coordinator for our school district, and I also have my own network consulting business for the last 25 years. So Patrick and I are ones that never like to sit around and do nothing. We're always engaging in technology and moving this forward, this initiative forward, to do what's best for students. That was our main focus when we started MOS. What was best for students, aligning them to a career path. So I don't want to hold up any more of your time. So if you don't mind, Patrick, you want to go ahead and we'll get right into this presentation.
Absolutely. So as we look at what MOS itself is, there's really three branches to what we do with MOS. Number one is we are a teacher training nonprofit organization. We've trained well over 250 instructors in this area, whether they are experienced in cybersecurity or computer science, or if they're a business educator looking to add some of these concepts into their program. All of our trainings take place either on-site or virtual, and there is no cost to any of our trainings. We always keep everything, since we were or both highly involved in K-12, we both definitely understand that the cost analysis and everything else that goes along with that. So it's our way to give back, is to never charge for any of the teacher trainings that we do, and they range everywhere from 1-day to 3-day trainings. The second branch of our initiative really is a custom learning management system, which we're going to highlight what is in it here in a minute, and then we're also going to share out, have Dennis do a full walkthrough of some of the courses in the structure, so that you can see how engaged the students can be in the virtual environment still. all of our curriculum is directly industry certification based. So it's all preparing for an industry certification, but it's also taking a real world approach in terms of virtual labs and design. The last part that we take a look at, or the third branch of MICE, is really education consulting, taking a look at program design for new people that are starting out. It takes a look at how we do standards alignment, how we can identify programs, whether it's a one-year semester program, a trimester program, a two-year program, if you're operating in a 50-minute block or you're operating in the traditional CTE approach with multiple hours per day with the students. We also help align, and that's also taking a look at not just state standards in alignment, but also at the federal level to the NIST NICE framework for cybersecurity as well. Just to give you a brief overview of how MICE really a niche started itself, or what the history behind it is. MICE itself was founded in 2016. We were approached as a group of educators to start. There was really 5 of us that came together by the state of Michigan Department of Education to design a new program for cybersecurity. We started in October, and we were able to author the entire cybersecurity standard program, and then it was approved just 3 months later at the state level, and we began initial implementation in 2017. Once we had that initial program created in January of 2017, we quickly realized, now that we have standards, what's implementation look like? So Dennis and I decided to form MICE itself and really start targeting the approach of doing teacher trainings. We were setting them up approximately every 3 months, quarterly throughout Michigan in different regions, trying to target both urban and rural integration. We also had the opportunity to meet the Michigan governor at the time and present at his Education and Talent Summit. We also had a marathon session with the State Board of Education for over 3 hours, explaining the need for cybersecurity, demoing out what we had done, the teacher trainings, and the full platform. And then in 2018, we realized, now that we're doing the trainings, let's take a look at the curriculum development side. We launched in the fall of 2018 the MICE Learning Management System. We started working on strategic partnership development with Cisco, specifically the Cisco Networking Academy, as well as Test Out Corporation, Certiport, Microsoft, and a wide variety of other companies, so that we could build out courses that really was not just a one curriculum or one provider approach, but really targeted, really thinking about not reinventing the wheel, but building sort of the cafeteria style plan that had multiple curriculums in one.
Patrick, Patrick,
yes.
I'm sorry to stop you, but I think your screen is frozen because we're not seeing you moving on the PowerPoint. So I apologize for interrupting, but.
Yep, no worries. Let me change this out.
There we go.
Better? All right, let me do it this way instead, and I'll just keep it up there. So ultimately, did you see this slide or get a chance to?
No, we did.
No,
okay.
Now we can.
Ultimately, again, all this slide was the three branches of MICE: the teacher training, the LMS, and then the consulting program development that we take a look at. Then I jumped over to taking a look at. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Taking a look at the history of MICE and the structure of where we were. What I was getting at, it was the last part of what we implemented last school year, which was a full-scale rollout in our version 2.0 of the MICE Learning Management System. We added additional curriculum. Our learning management system runs on Canvas Enterprise and allows us to definitely connect into multiple partners a little bit easier, as well as textbook companies, and a lot of the tools that are out there are built for Canvas versus Schoology or Moodle or a lot of the other learning management portals. We've had the opportunity as well to go nationwide. MICE sounds like we're just Michigan by the name, but we do have many initiatives in other states that we're currently helping with. We presented at multiple national conferences in terms of the National Initiative for Cyber Education K-12 conference, which is an amazing opportunity if you've never been there. the Michigan CTE Conference, Michigan Business Education, National Business Education, and then multiple other technology summits virtually over the past year as well. To give you an overview of what the MOS LMS has in it, we've developed, again, custom content that really targets certification. As you look at the courses that are here, we start with designing courses that are the introductory into computing as well as introductory into IT. So we look at Microsoft Office 2016, 2019, IT fundamentals, which again aligns to both the ITF Pro test out certification as well as CompTIA's ITF Plus. As you'll see throughout all of these areas, we do have something for all areas, or a course for all areas in all pathways under BMIT as well as the IT pathway. So as you look, looking at PC fundamentals or the A+ certification, networking, security, Linux, computer science in terms of Java fundamentals, which targets both the AP Computer Science A test as well as the Oracle certification. We are targeting as well ethical hacking, Cisco, Windows Server, and then we do have developed out what MOS has done as employability skills to meet the necessary requirements for employability skill training and portfolio development under Perkins legislation for CTE programs. All of our curriculum, again, is standards aligned through the federal programs. We've also directly aligned through the Michigan CTE program, which really aligns directly to the federal standards, as well as additional standards, for example, for the computer programming side with the CSTA, or Computer Science Teachers Association, Computer Science Framework, and then they all target multiple certifications. What you'll see on the side or on the far right is that for each individual course, we also have vouchers that are included in each of the courses for each of the students. All of those vouchers that are included directly are the test out certification vouchers. And again, those are included directly inside of the course package that we take a look at. As far as what the LMS really provides, number one, this is an all-encompassing system that's designed by educators for educators. We've taken the liberty of going through and building out best practice lecture slides. We've done full lesson plans in both Word and PDF. We've created online assessments, both custom that are objective and application-based with full teacher solutions. Many of the application-based are real-world lab assessments. The key here is that everything that we're designing is trying to mimic the real-world atmosphere that you would see in business and industry. All of the labs, there is no installation that's required. All labs take place directly inside of a browser. They're fully functional. All you really need is an internet connection. They operate on any device, whether it's a tablet, a mobile device, desktop, a Chromebook. All you really need is a internet browser and internet connection to be able to connect into it. We also have a full data reporting solution built in. You're able to track individual metrics in terms of how long did students participate in a specific lab. So if a student's saying, well, I was in there for a week and I worked on this, you can go in and see how much time did they actually put in. Did they just click right through all of the labs? We also understand, because we're both educators and where it comes from, that reporting is very key to what you need to do at the state level. So you're able to generate and run reports based on individual performance indicators on objective exams, as well as application performance, as well as generate general statistics for success and growth of success from the beginning pre-test or pre-assessment phase through the actual final assessment phase at the end of a school year. All grades in the labs and all of the work is automatically synced back to the LMS as well inside of the LMS gradebook. And again, we're providing full source code and answer keys, additional links to resources, other competitions that are out there. For example, in cybersecurity and IT, we know that you could be a part of Skills USA, or you could be a part of BPA or Cyber Patriot. So we're really drawing attention to the preparation for those competitions as well. Lastly, in terms of the LMS resources themselves, they are fully accessible, meaning we have full transcripts of all videos, all printouts, so anything that needs to be printed out, if there's a hearing impaired or visually impaired student, we're able to work with that as well through the process. Just to give you more of a visual of how the industry certification alignment works, you have a table here that's showing our courses lined up with both the test out and CompTIA certifications, as well
Patrick,
as.
can you zoom that out a little bit?
Yep.
Thank you. There we go. Perfect.
Yep, there you go. So taking a look at it from the perspective, our MICE IT fundamentals directly aligns to test.IT fundamentals and CompTIA. And you can see the logical progression if you were to work through these in terms of a recommendation. We do have students that are in the system or teachers that'll follow a specific pathway, working from one course to the other or certification to the other, but we also have people that are working directly. So this is just one example of a school resource that we've helped design and how they could work through certifications. You might be thinking, now this is set up at the high school level. How are students getting through this? We do have students that are earning in Michigan 4 to 5 test out certifications as well as the CompTIA certifications in a 2-year program. So it is really great to see the success and the metrics that have come behind that. The next slide that I want to show you, and let me just back out here, this really is a model program for what we designed in terms of our cybersecurity information assurance program in the state of Michigan. This is not just about taking a look at the CTE program. What this is about is really working with a school district on how to develop a full pipeline. So this actually goes all the way back into the pre-K grades, taking a look at introducing, and let me just jump into here, taking a look. So we've developed on top of the traditional certification alignment curriculum, we've also developed units for digital citizenship and engagement in the K through 6 level. So in each of those, and you can see by the background on my video, the image that's behind me are what we call our digital citizenship or MICE K6 superheroes. At each individual grade band, we've created a superhero that the students will go through and earn their superhero badge based on a number of units. It's really 3 to 5 units specifically. Inside of that, the superhero names from far left to far right are named after IT terms in their own right. You've got bit, byte, megabyte, or kilobyte, megabyte, gigabyte, and terabyte. Working all the way through. Those are the superhero names. They're also gender neutral as well as diverse. So we want to make sure that we're trying to help the career awareness and pathway awareness for students at that age. From here, then you move from the introduction phase into the attraction phase. That's grades 7 and 8, taking a look at working with introduction to computers as well as Microsoft Office. The engagement phase, 9th and 10th grade, which is getting into IT fundamentals overview, as well as PC Pro or our A+ certification preparation. And then moving into grades 11 and 12, which is looking at ethical hacking, Linux, Security Plus preparation, Network Plus preparation, as well as the internships and mentorships that are out there. MICE understands that some students in CTE go directly into the industry. Some of them go directly into post-secondary, depending on what their pathway is. So we've designed the program also to be articulated credits with local community colleges and how that would work if they're going into post-secondary. So the content that they're learning in the certifications directly align with community college work here in Michigan, as well as multiple other states that we work with. Just on the bottom of these, as we take a look at designing this out, again, it highlights the certifications, it highlights the resources, and it highlights potential careers. Now, I know in Oklahoma, you have a truly unique system where your Career tech education really sits outside of the Department of Education, which I think is absolutely amazing. Most states have to deal with the process of going through the Department of Ed to actually get their decisions made, as well as with the way that your career tech ed centers are set up, where you'll have adult learners in with the students. So it's really a unique perspective with that. In all of this curriculum, it doesn't matter whether they are in a high school program or they were an adult learner, they're all able to access all of this curriculum, no matter at what point they are in their life. Just to compare, do some basic comparing here with how we stand out in terms of others and what we do. MOS itself, we charge $150 for a student license per year. Again, that covers all of the curriculum that we've already talked about, so students can bounce back and forth in between courses. They can go through and earn as much as they would like to in that time frame. And again, that includes all of the certification vouchers for the test out certifications. Again, we're doing free virtual on-site educator trainings. We have tier-based bulk pricing. So if a state initiative or a larger school is purchasing in bulk, we're able to drastically reduce the cost of the licenses themselves per student. We also highly work with the Cisco Networking Academy. MOS just last week actually was announced as the only North American pilot program for the Cisco Networking Academy, and we're going to be able to embed Cisco Networking Academy courses and do trainings directly into our own LMS. So we're really honored to be the only initiative that's selected for all of North America. And really, this is only the second time that they've done this. The other time was with the entire country of China. Again, we run on an enterprise LMS in terms of Canvas. We've developed a virtual internship platform for students who are not able to get out into the atmosphere or physical environment. As you know, right now with COVID and everything going out, we don't really know what the state of education is going to be across the nation or the world for that matter. So we've developed a way for students to interact and complete virtual internship hours in a lab situation, as well as interact with industry professionals. So it's really an amazing way to meet that standard and requirement of Perkins authorization as well. Again, we've talked about the K-5 digital citizenship curriculum that was built, and really how does all of that compare? What we've found is that individual trainings, teacher trainings usually aren't free. They're usually anywhere between $250 to $3,000 to go to a week training. They also, for students, your cost per student is drastically higher, between $500 and $3,500 for a training without the actual voucher at the end of it. We also know that some areas for Cisco NetAcad are charging, and a lot of them don't design this full complete package in an LMS course. To take a look at outcomes, just to give you an idea as to what we did this past year before we move into the demo here. MOS itself, just in the past year in Michigan alone, had 60 different school districts that we worked with across the state. We had roughly 2,500 students utilizing the system across Michigan, California, Texas, Tennessee, Ohio, and Indiana. So when we say we're just in Michigan or by name, we're really not. We're expanding out across and doing teacher trainings all across the US. We helped develop over 75 new Cisco NetAcads over the past 2 years in Michigan alone. We've trained over 250 educators across multiple states. And just this past year, before COVID hit, we had over 2,000 certifications earned by those 2,500 students in the system. So it's really a great metric to show. So if people are using the test out certification, they have about an 85% pass rate on the actual CompTIA certification as well. Again, we highlighted how we've done a lot of pipeline development in terms of K-12 and articulation agreement to post-secondary. And we've also done a number of community outreach programs to help the communities understand the need for cybersecurity throughout Michigan, whether it's in a local library system or local school boards and just policymakers as well at the state level. Some additional areas and where we're headed next, just to give you sort of a preview. In Michigan, we're looking at a statewide expansion. It's going to be approximately a $2.5 million rollout over 3 years. What this will do is it'll allow us to expand to all CTE programs by offering, or IT CTE programs by offering student scholarships directly. That cost, state funded, will be removing the actual student individual fee and the burden that happens at the school level. They'll have full access to that, including industry vouchers. We'll also continue our teacher trainings, as well as offering up teacher scholarships and stipends and incentives, as well as some education kits for implementation into the classroom. We are looking at creating an education summit, which would be a multi-state initiative for best practices, exhibiting, as well as have an on-site capture the flag competition. We're going to be running and continuing to run summer camps. We've done numerous on-site in the past, but right now in the virtual environment, we're looking at doing virtual cybersecurity and virtual coding camps, virtual drone coding camps, really unique approach to doing summer camps with students in a virtual environment. And really lastly, it's about connecting business and industry while putting the resources in the hands of the teachers in terms of pre-built lesson plans and just areas that they can help, or how we can help them connect to business and industry as they're looking to start their own or grow their own programs. Just so that it's on screen here, I'll leave this up for a minute, but this is our contact information, direct cell phone lines and emails. Feel free to reach out and request a demo of what you're about to see here that Dennis is going to now switch over and share out. But at this point, are there any questions before we move into the actual demonstration of the LMS? All right, Dennis, why don't you go ahead and take over and share out and show off the LMS here.
Okay, thanks, Patrick. So what I'm going to show you here, this is the eyes of inside Canvas, and this is looking specifically at our test out Security Pro, which would align to the CompTIA exam as well, Security Plus. So in here is a layout, and like Patrick was saying, we do have the resources available for the teachers. So from lesson plans to objective mappings, and then to a outline of that course. So those mappings would include mappings to the test out certifications as well as the CompTIA certifications. So you do have those resources available to you as a teacher. And then also with that is there is a PowerPoint that is available for every single unit that is in our LMS, and this list will go on and on and on. But that is also an available resource for the teacher that you can share that out to the students, or if you want to only use that as a lecture, you can. You have the option of laying that out, as a teacher the way you want to. Again, then we go into, it's basically broken down into chapters from practice questions to how to use the simulator in test out, and then it moves on into, then your first unit would be understanding attacking. So these would be units that you go into, there's practice questions, and if we just click on one here, it's going to take a while. I'm in a rural area, so my internet connection isn't the greatest, the fastest, but this will take you in understanding attacks. It'll list what is available in this unit, and then when the student is ready to go, they would click launch, and it launches them over into test out itself. And it's a single sign-on, so the student does again have to log into test out. Of course, I'm not logged in as a student, so it's not going to do that. So I'm going to pop over here. It would then bring them into a course like this, and this is what the student would see. This is the new IT fundamentals course that we're going to be implementing into our LMS. They have a new update version to it. So it isn't available for us to put in yet, but once it is, this is what it's going to look like. So the students, I got to move this here. It's in my way. Students can then go through, I got a couple things to move. I can't see all my buttons, so please bear with me. So again, gives the course objectives, runs through, activity and career exploration, and then it'll give them a quiz on that information they just went through, and they would start the exam and take the exam. I'm going to move along to where I see if I can get into a lab. This one here would then give the student a video and going over that information in that unit. Then it gives them a fact sheet of what was in that video and what was in that unit. So it's hitting them on a bunch of different levels, from a video interaction to your PowerPoint, you know, to your assessments with quizzes. And then eventually, once it rolls along, another exam, they'll get into online labs. And I'm not sure if they supplied that for us in the intro. I don't know, Patrick, if you want to sign in as a student as I'm going, and then we can share your screen out.
Yep.
Okay. So as you can see, it also lists the key terms for the area. And in the LMS itself, we have developed vocabulary quizzes for each one of the units. And I can go back into our LMS. Yeah, my internet is running very, very slow. So we might have to pop over to your screen, Patrick.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay. Sorry for this, folks. I don't have the luxury of the fiber optic line running in front of my house. So there are some hurdles with COVID as well.
We've experienced those issues as well. So we can understand. Everybody has, we've had things happen as well.
So Dennis, I'll take over from here. So as you take a look, just so you can see what the structure is from the student side, the students also, you know, as they interact in all of these pieces, the way that we have it structured out is that it'll load in the actual setup. So that, again, as Dennis showed, it starts with teacher resources, it works through the PowerPoint structure, it then jumps down into the actual individual coursework and how the students would work through it. One thing to note is that as a instructor, you actually have full administration rights to this. So we are your global support as well as your global administration, but every individual instance that we create for a school is actually a duplicate clone of all courses for that individual classroom. So as the instructor, you're able to unpublish, you're able to allow things to you know, be visible to the students. If you have students who work through in a self-paced nature, independent study, you're able to work through that process, or you can guide them directly through the process as you're going from unit to unit and building out that structure. What I did is I went through and I clicked through on one of these labs for how to install a power supply. So to show you what this structure looks like and how it works in here, every one of these labs first gives you an overview in terms of the task that you're about to complete. When you start the lab, and again, everything is virtual in the browser, so it mimics the real world environment. You'll see that you have a computer, you have a monitor, you have power switches, Ethernet hookup, and then you can also take a look at the front and the back of a machine. You can also take a look at the motherboard itself as you work through this process and structure it out. So if you need to zoom in, you also have full control of being able to do that. Over on the side is it does give you the scenario that you are going to do. So it's going to say install a power supply based on the following requirements. It must have the appropriate connectors. And then it walks you through the entire lab of how to actually hook it up and start the virtual environment. So in here, I'm going to grab a power supply, bring it on. You'll hear it bounce and say that I can't put it on this part. But what I can do is I can bring the power supply in to, let's see here. Why is it not letting me go in? I can connect in my power for it. So I've added a power supply, and then I can go through the process of bringing in the computer itself and working through it. You also can then take a look at how a lot of the process works in terms of individual components. So you could zoom in and actually have a full group discussion as to what are you actually taking a look at in this system. Are you looking at the motherboard and describing how certain components and things lay out? So here's your CPU fan, here's your main PC power for the motherboard, your CPU power. How is all of that going to work through in a drag and drop instance? And then when you do get into the full process of actually going through it, there are some additional structures that help the students. So if a student does get stuck, there is a question mark for help, so it can show you sort of how to work around the environment. You'd also be able to really mimic the full instance of working on a computer without the physical computer. So let me bounce back and show you a separate lab here. So this is actually a lab using Linux. So in here, what this is, again, this is directly built in. So this is a live demo of the actual command line inside of Linux. Some of them, whether it's a Windows interface or Linux or even Mac OS, it is a virtual system. So the students are working in that. And there's no risk to the actual students. You know, if they delete something or screw something up, all they have to do is restart the lab. And they don't have to worry about any physical infrastructure issues, which will obviously help you in your discussions with your IT department and what they give you access to do, because everything occurs in an actual sandbox. So in this, here I'll just go through this lab a little bit so you can see some of the structure that works through it. What I'm doing here is on the left side, just walking through the actual structure. So I just did a directory list. Inside of this, now I'm going to remove a file from this, and then it'll ask me to remove it. Yes, I'm going to remove it. And then if I go through and do this list again, you can see that that file is now removed. But if I need to actually start over with this lab because I did make a mistake, I can go back through and do the same process and start right back over from a new instance. So it's a way for the students, again, to jump directly inside of it and work through this. Now, one of the other things that's really interesting, and I just want to take a look real quick at, so in here I see like Travis and a couple others, you teach directly business or fundamentals of technology. Here's something that's really cool for you too as well, to show you. I'm going to switch over to the Microsoft Office course real quick. So let me just bounce over to this. So inside of the Microsoft Office course itself, is this one covers all of the Microsoft Office suite. And then it also has additional activities, capstone projects, working across PowerPoint, Word, Excel, and Microsoft Access. But it also has full lab notes that students can do on their own or in the virtual environment. So let me get down to the structure here to show you how this actually works in the full environment with Microsoft Office. So I'm going to jump down to the Word section here. And I'll launch out this lab so you can see it. But this is a fully virtualized instance of Microsoft Office as well. So as you're working through the structure, get to the lab, what this will actually do is spin up a clone. So if you happen to be a Google district, and we deal with a lot of them that don't have Microsoft Office, how they can actually work through this. For instance, in this, what we're going to do in this structure is work through Microsoft Word. We're going to create a new blank document. So go to File, New, create the document. And then what we're going to do is then turn around and close that document right away. From that, now you'll see that it says, good job, task completed. What the students will then do is go through the next class. What we're going to do is from the downloads, open flyers. So we're going to go open this. From our downloads folder, we'll browse, go into downloads, we're going to open flyer, and then this inside of here, well, now we're going to enable our editing. We now completed that task. So it'll go through and you work through the full structure of editing documents, working through advanced structures of Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and again, Access. So that students, even if they're in an IT course, can still work with databases and Access and learn how to do SQL structure and commands. When they're done, they click Score Lab. It'll then give you a full task summary of what they did, what they didn't do to go through that process. And then they can also see their score report so they can see what this is. Now, when, as an instructor, you'll get an automatic email upon completion, as well as you can run a report to see what objectives people are completing properly. And if they don't complete something, then you can turn around and again, have that information so you know what to reteach or how to approach topics in the future. So just a general overview of the system through it. Let me see if
Patrick, please add to them that too, if they do have to start that lab over, it doesn't start them over to where they finished. They have to start that completely back over again.
Correct. The one thing with this too, all labs are designed to fit in a 50-minute block. So you should be able to get or have students, if you're assigning a lab, have them be able to go through that process in that time if you're stuck in a 50-minute block. So let's see here. So let's do this. We've shown the system, we've shown the structure. Let's open it up for some general Q&A and take a look at shifting into some best practices or Q&A. What are your barriers? And hopefully we can help resolve some of those questions or give you some ideas around teaching, Office or Word or IT, computer science, any of these areas. Quiet group today.
They're being very quiet, yes.
So how many of you are here, and this is an honest question, you can answer this. How many of you are here just to get your extra hour for your PD? There it is. Travis is honest.
This might be my favorite question of the day.
This is a tough group.
Hey, we're educators. We get it completely. This is us sharing out our initiative and what we're doing, but we're not here just to pitch, a product. We get it completely. There's a lot on the plate. There's a lot of time. We know that, this virtual environment is a struggle for sure for a lot. And really, what we are doing and why we're doing this and why we wanted to offer up this opportunity to present is because it's about student engagement. You know, the real structure that we know the challenge is going to be, and we know you're going to face it, you know you're going to face it, is how do you actually get the students to engage if you're stuck in a virtual environment. In Michigan, when we shut down in March, we had about 10% literally engaged in the environment throughout the rest of the year. And that was it. There wasn't a forced nature to go through it. I think some schools, and I don't know what a lot of your districts are doing, whether they're doing virtual or they're forcing it online. It's a little bit different, I think, in every state. But we get it. It's a struggle, and we're here just to continue to help to go through that.
There's a question out there, Patrick, about is it just one course or is it all courses included for the 150?
Yeah, so the $150, again, you get all of the courses. So you get, and I'll share it back out here real quick with you from the PowerPoint. You get all of these courses. So there's 13 courses here. So it's Office, PC Pro, Networking, Security, Linux, Java, Java Advanced. All of those courses are all involved and included in the $150 per student per year, plus the certification. It's a cost savings of about $3,000 per student if you were to pay out just for the curriculum individually. And then your certification vouchers alone can offer or range anywhere from $50 to $250, but we've worked with all of our partners to get those vouchers for test out included in that. So it's really that opportunity cost point.
I'm going to put our website in the chat too, Patrick.
Okay.
So on your certifications that are included, is it just through Test Out or others as well?
Yeah, so our main partnership with free vouchers is through Test Out. We have discounts that are available directly through CompTIA as well as Certiport, but Test Out is the direct one that's free and included in that cost, because a lot of the curriculum is front loaded from Test Out for their lab side. Okay, so I think we can maybe give another 30 seconds or so if there's any questions or anybody wants to chime in, and then we can probably give people back some time today. That's always good.
We really appreciate you guys taking time out of your very busy schedules to help share your initiative with us.
There's a question.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Shalon, if you could ask that question out loud as to what it is.
Yeah, that'd be much easier for me because I'm having technical difficulties. The chat. So right now we're Tulsa Technology Center, which is where I teach cybersecurity. We use Blackboard primarily, and so I see that you've built this on the Canvas LMS, which I've used in the past. Is this curriculum only used on Canvas?
Yeah, we've developed everything around Canvas, and we're not offering sort of the integration piece or the cartridges just because of moving everything back and forth with the virtual lab piece. What you can do though is you can export your gradebook as a CSV from one into the other. So you still could put your grades into Blackboard, and we work with schools on an individual basis as needed for that.
Okay, so right now, and I've only taught here at Tulsa Tech 1 year. It's going into my 2nd year, and so we're looking at kind of refreshing the program. Before this, I taught at the college level, cybersecurity. So we are using uCertify, and I see that you're using Test Out. Are you using the Test Out curriculum? Are you customized this, modified their curriculum, etc.?
Yeah, so what we do is we take a look at the curriculum. Most of the lab structure is built off of Test Out to use their platform, but we've
Mhm.
customized everything to align to the actual standards and frameworks and the program pathways. So your lesson plannings and the structure and the sequencing is all custom in so that it aligns directly versus just flat content.
Right. And how does this, I know this is for K through 12, and of course I'm looking at high school type, but how does this align with some of the objectives of the NSA's Center of Excellence? Because I see that you have Security Plus, which is good. How does that align with that?
Yeah, so the academic centers of excellence, with the work that I do at the national level, very familiar with them. Everything that we have is directly aligned to the NIST NICE framework, which is what the academic centers of excellence are built off of. So it's a direct correlation, but more designed in the actual educator day-to-day best practices and sequencing versus just the framework itself.
Excellent. So did you say that you have the vouchers for Security Plus, Certified Ethical Hacker, and CHFI associates? Of course, the EC councils would be associate. Would that be in the package that the
So
students?
yeah, those are not included directly in the package included. Those are added cost for those vouchers, but we do have a discount. Dennis and I actually were the curriculum authors of the current ethical hacking associate and cyber forensics associate exams that are hosted through Certiport or delivered through Certiport, but are actually EC Council.
Right.
Dennis and I were the authors of those just a couple years ago when we first partnered up with EC Council to come up with a way to have an associate level at the high school level. So we do have direct access to those certifications at a discount as well.
Because we were looking at that. I was talking to one of our instructional coordinators about that. I know the EC Council certifications are quite expensive, apparently. And so I'm not sure what kind of discount or if it depends on the school. So.
Well, the discount is the same thing that you're really to be open and transparent. It's the same discount that you're going to get with any of their academic partners, whether it's a post-secondary local institution or a business and industry. They don't budge very much in terms of CompTIA and EC Council, but it's about approximately a 40% off of the published price that you would see on their websites when you look at it. The actual associate certifications, which are not your, CFE or CFI or your CHEI or CEH for that matter. I mean, I feel like we just talked about the alphabet when we talk certification. The actual associate exams through Certiport are honestly just as challenging, and because we designed those to be not just textbook Q&A. They're actually scenario-based objective questions that put the kids in a career awareness standpoint. But those are definitely cheaper, and many states are acknowledging them. So I'm not sure of what the process or what it would be, and we could work with you, honestly, to talk to VMITE as well as the Oklahoma CTE and try to get that, on the approved list if it's not already on there, because I'm just not familiar with it. But those are alternate certifications that are recognized. They're starting to be recognized by industry for the associate for 11th and 12th graders that are direct pathway certifications. So hopefully that helps answer that.
Well, that's great. You answered most of my questions, and I'll have to reach out to you offline. But
Yeah,
this is
absolutely.
great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
If I could add in on that, if you are talking about Certiport, make sure that you check with Jeanette Sayer. She's the representative for Certiport for Oklahoma, and check her pricing, because you would want to get whichever would be the cheapest for sure. So I would check both with Patrick and Dennis as well as her directly, because I know she does give us a discount that's not supposed to be advertised, but she does. So
Okay.
You might want to check on that.
I think we all have that same agreement with Certiport, to be honest with you. You know, the other thing that comes along with it too, and we didn't show you everyone on the call, in terms of the actual LMS, there are preparation resources as well. So there's practice tests, there's practice labs that are down for the certification preparation, questions that the students can drill in practice for all of these exams that we keep talking about. So that's all included in there as well.
Another thing, Patrick, we want to mention is through these years that we've developed this with the teachers that are in there, they've developed some cohort groups that the teachers meet weekly on, and we meet with them and go over, you know, issues or finding other resources to help them build and go through this process. And it's really helped out because in Michigan, a lot of the teachers that are moving into cybersecurity are coming from the business teacher aspect. And so they're learning, you know, as they roll, and it's really been beneficial to them with those groups in place.
Okay, excellent. Well, that sounds great. I think that this is going to be important for the students because to me, they should be able to get a certification that they can use to get a job once they go through our curriculum. And they get Security Plus, which is excellent. But I think the CEH Associate and the CHFI Associate would be as good as well as some of the other ones that you had in your list. So I think it's very important. So I appreciate you guys creating this. And yeah, I'd like to dig into this more because we're looking at alternatives to refresh our cybersecurity program at our campus.
Awesome.
So.
Well, we appreciate that. I know I'm very familiar with the Tulsa Tech Center. There's you do some great work down there for sure. So last thing I would have is just a shameful plug for the August 5th session with National BPA, where we will be going over all of the National BPA updates and platform, and I'll be leading that discussion as well.
Anybody have any other questions before we close? Okay, well, thank you so much, Dennis and Patrick, for sharing with us. We certainly appreciate it very much. And good luck with all your initiatives. Sounds great. And we appreciate you sharing.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thanks, everyone. Try not to get Zoom called out or burnt out.
Thank you, Patrick and Dennis.
You're welcome.
Take care.